It's been 2 years since version 10.1 of Heli-X, and they've just released version 11. So what's new? Before we start, take note that this is a free update, so if you've already got a license, you can get the latest version. Otherwise, you can run it in demo mode with a few models and airports, but you won't be able to save anything. We'll start by going through the simulation menu. In the airport selection screen, there is a new checkbox list that you can filter by type. If you haven't tried any of the 4K fields yet, MVA Almere Northeast 2 is amazing looking. Definitely worth checking that one out, even if it's just to see how good 4K looks on your screen. The next few menu items haven't changed until we get down to type, which is new. Type only works on one model at the moment as far as I can tell. On the Goblin Raw 700 it has Standard, Light and Light 3D, which correlates to the 3 models in the models list. When I asked Jan Nicholas Pump about this, he said it allows different physics configurations on airframes. Their plan is to update the physics on all of the models but not lose the original physics that pilots might want to keep. Using type, they will be able to have the original and also any new setups that come out, which I think is a clever way of doing it. The only other change in this menu is Reset Controller, which does what you'd expect. Under the configuration menu, there are some changes in the controller configuration. A display for the switches and button screen has some extra functionality, and as mentioned in the release notes, there are a lot more functions that can be configured, mostly training and environment values. Wind/brightness has been renamed to environment settings. It now has gravity, which affects the floatiness, which is something that people have been asking for. Another new setting in environment is magnetic force and direction. This appears to pull the model in the specified direction, but I'm not sure how useful this is for model helicopters. Perhaps it's a fixed wing thing, but I'd be interested to know what it could be used for, so let me know in the comments. Rescue has a new value called climb speed, which changes the climb rate during rescue. In the global settings there are quite a few changes. You can now set the crash duration, which is just the length of time it lies there before resetting. In the OpenGL tab, you can now set the max frames per second so as not to overload the graphics. I've set mine to 100, but not played with any higher or lower values yet. In the VR tab, they've removed 3D mouse in normal window and added FXAA filter and what to show in the mirror window. The sound configuration has a few extra options for beep sound and global volume. Shadow configuration has 2 more settings, shadow map size and shadow split maps, which will have to do with all the work they've been doing on making the shadows better. Rotor transparency and canvas size remain the same. The record play menu works exactly the same as before. The only differences I can see is that the save, play and play control menu items are now disabled when they can't be used. So a nice little fix there. Now under multiplayer, I would have expected to see a few more changes as they've now added a standalone app to run your own server. But actually, Start a Server is still there. However, when you do start server, the options are slightly different, and on start it actually runs the external app anyway. They've added Allow Change of Scene and Open GUI, which is the browser management page. On joining a session, the window pilot has only 1 column of checkboxes for hiding and showing remote pilots. This also seems more reliable when hiding pilots. Previously, they would just start showing again on their own. In the training drop-down menu, there are 2 new options, Fixed Stick and Zero Crossing. Fixed Stick training is where you select a channel and give a fixed input, similar to subtrim on the radio. This could probably be used for pirouette training, which I've seen some people swear by. Zero Crossing is where you can turn on sounds for when the sticks cross the center. It sounds interesting, but I'm not sure if it has any benefits for heli training. Let me know in the comments if you can think of a reason. Under helicopter training, they appear to have removed tail training and funnel training. These were just slip meters, so you can still enable them under the HUDs menu if you want to. Under plane training, they removed tail training as well, so again you can enable it under HUDs anyway. In HUDs, the only new thing I can see is the clock. Perhaps this is for VR, so you don't have to take your goggles off to see the time. Who knows? In the view menu, there are quite a few changes. You now have position pointer configuration so that you can change the size and the color of the pointer. Show center point is a new option. This now shows colored dots whenever elevator or aileron is used. This could be useful for highlighting when you inadvertently add inputs. Along with that is a configuration menu to change the color and the deadband of the dots. There is also a new special HUD option that shows the difference in where the model is pointing compared to its heading. Perhaps a fixed wing thing? And also a new view option is the VR GUI mode, which has a few values. Shortcuts has a new clear favorite start position, as well as a Heli-Shop option which shows the sticks and 3 of the text HUDs: pitch, bank angle, and slope angle. These are the values that Daniel seems to use most often in his training. If you've watched Simone's training video with him, you can see how they use it to work on funnels and turns. I'll link to that video in the description so you can check it out. These items can be cleared from the screen through the HUDs menu. And the very last menu is Options. Now, this looks exactly the same. However, there have been changes to new models, airports, scenes, utilities, and flights, in that these can be downloaded in the background. So now, when you've got a new version and you're facing a long update to download all the airports, you can still sim while it does it for you in the background and logs it to the screen so you can see how it's getting on. Very smart. So that's it for the menus and dialogues. Let's go through the release notes and see if there's anything we've missed. It now has native support for Windows with ARM processor. This has been gaining traction, so it is a good move for Heli-X to support it. From what I can tell, the Java runtime engine has been updated, as well as the graphics libraries. They're also claiming better performance and better contact with the ground, like during sliding autos, whereas before the model almost immediately leveled out and stopped. Wheel and plane physics have been improved. Graphics have been improved, in particular the shadows, and they've added more shadow options, which we saw. Full screen mode is more stable, monitor frequency can be defined, and wind simulation has been improved. The text HUDs can now be made smaller, which is useful in VR mode. They also mention resources can be deleted, which is good if you've downloaded the 4K airports and need to make space. Joystick configuration has been improved, which we had a look at. Wireless LAN configuration with VBAR is more stable. I haven't actually tried this yet, as I gave up on it a while back, so I might actually try that again. Improved graphics in VR and new GUI modes, and GUI can also be used in the mirror window. So lots of work on the VR stuff. They mentioned that multiplayer is more stable. One thing I've always liked about the multiplayer is the ability to see what sessions are up and how busy they are on the website. Saves me from running the sim and joining just to see if anyone is around. Really like that, and not something I've seen in any of the other sims. They've been working on version 11 for a few years, so it's great to see it out of beta finally. They still have some minor bugs on fields to do with the ground changes that have been implemented, such as Batiste, where the model wants to flip over before spooling up, but I'm hoping that they can now spend more time on new models. Although they've continued to bring out models during the development of this version, there have been a large number of new ones released in the past few months, and it would be great to see some of those show up. Personally, I'd love to see the Tron Gemini and Dynamic, especially the new Pro version on Heli-X. All in all, a fantastic update to a brilliant helicopter flight simulator. And let me know in the comments if I've misunderstood anything or if there's anything you find that hasn't been mentioned. Also, I put all the links we've talked about in the description below. Until next time.